Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the day in the life of someone with Lyme disease. So, I want to tell you my story of Lyme disease. Sometimes it's hard because people don't want to listen or they don't believe it's real, or they'll say, "Oh, you got to change your mindset," and don't say that you have that, or you'll bring it upon yourself more. I've gotten to the point where and it's because I had a mentor. I've had a lot of mentors throughout my life. But I had a mentor say to me, "You've just got to accept where you're at and accept that this is what you're dealing with." And it's like, after 35 years of trying to heal myself, trying to do everything possible to get better, and having an uplifting mindset and doing meditations on a daily basis, doing things that will raise my vibration, I've come to the terms with the fact that this is this is my lot in life. You can't, like people with cancer, um, you can't always just wish it away, or you can't cure cancer by changing your mindset. I do believe that there are cures for cancer and other things they just don't want us to know about. Um, I feel like this is far away, so I'm going to move it a little closer. So, I've just come to accept, and I've actually been told um, that, so I'm of the LDS faith, and I have a lot of people give me blessings, and I've been told in blessings that, and I've also been told by intuitive healers that God wanted me to have this illness to teach people compassion. And I was told at another point that I was given this to um, test people to see if they would be compassionate or not. Um, and this is in no way to judge anybody, but it's just interesting to see the different people who will help and will be compassionate and will be supportive and will believe you and will be a listening ear when you're struggling and having a bad day. Okay, so for 35 years I've had Lyme disease. It is thought or believed, after working, because I went down the medical field, that did not do a dang thing for me. They don't know anything about it. My rheumatologist told me a month ago he didn't believe in it and that he didn't think it was affecting my health. There's Lyme. I have rheumatoid arthritis, but there's rheumatoid arthritis specifically caused by Lyme. That's what I have. So there's still doctors today who don't believe it. They've come a long ways, and they've come a long ways with their tests. There used to not be any blood tests that could show that it was in your blood, and that's because Lyme hides. It hides behind your tissues, and it's like it will. It's like it puts nests all over your body, and they'll hatch at different times in different parts of your body, and then it'll travel through your body. But what it does is it travels through your body, and it wreaks havoc in your whole body, and it damages all your organs, it damages all your systems, like your endocrine system, it damages your central nervous system, it damages your brain, it can cause a lot of inflammation in your brain, so you get a lot of brain fog. It can cause severe depression, it can cause suicidal ideation, it can cause numbness and tingling, it can cause you to lose your ability to use your hands. I have severe rheumatoid arthritis in my hands, but mostly in my elbows right now and in my feet. So, but it also eats your cartilage, so I'm walking bone on bone. It in everybody I know, in every case I know, it affects your heart, unless you catch it within a week and it doesn't get a chance to spread through your body. But if you don't know what it is, or if just one round of antibiotic doesn't always take care of it, it everybody I know who has it, it has affected their heart. It damaged my heart so much so that my heart has stopped beating. I went to a foot zone therapist about 20 years ago because I was having seizures every day. There is a strain of the bacteria. There's several different strains of the Lyme bacteria, and one of them causes seizures. But the equipment that they use in the emergency room, the thing they put on your head and they test for seizures, they told me I was psychosomatic because those kind of tests don't pick up on the strain of Lyme bacteria. So it's a bacteria. It's a bacterial infection in your body. It's like having a huge infection every single day of your life and never being able to kill it or get over it. Anyway, so this foot zone therapist, I went to her because the seizures were scaring me to death, and she said to me, "It's the Lyme. It's it's clogging the main artery to your heart because it can cause inflammation around your heart." And she says that's what's causing your seizures. And then she said, "And you shouldn't be alive because your heart is so bad." She said, "Obviously the Lord wants you here for a reason." That was over 20 years ago, and I'm still here. I did die, but God sent me back. I wish he would have taken my Lyme from me when he sent me back. But the, the overall point I want to make is it completely can turn your life upside down. It completely destroys the quality of your life. I have no quality of life. If somebody has it, please believe them and listen to them, and don't balk at them and tell them they're psychosomatic like my family does now, because that's what the doctors told me after they couldn't figure out what was causing the seizures, because they don't know how to find the bacteria. Anyway, but there are more and more Lyme literate doctors. My cardiologist is a Lyme literate cardiologist, and I'm in a group of women, a support group for women. See, here it goes. I can't always think and say what I want to because it causes brain fog, and I can't always get out what I want to. So it started out me and this other woman and a few other people, and I'm like, you should make a Facebook group. And so she did, and now there's over 35 people on there. Most of them are women. There's like 2 or 3 men. But what was I going to say about that? Oh, most of them go to my Lyme literate cardiologist because he doesn't tell people you're psychosomatic. He knows that Lyme exists. He knows how to find it. He knows how to treat it. He knows that it goes hand in hand with multiple other viruses or mold. Most of us are very sensitive to mold. A lot of people don't understand what mold can do to your health, or they don't believe that it can really affect your health. But if you have Lyme, you'll soon know what mold can do to you. In fact, I'm in an apartment right now where I'm being affected by mold, and I've been affected by black mold another time like 6 years ago, and my hair was falling out. I was feeling like I was going to pass out every day. I was having hot rashes all over my whole body. I felt like I had mono every day. But when I'd leave the house, I'd feel so much better. Well, I know it's in the apartment because I can smell it. I know what it smells like. My hair's falling out again. I know it doesn't look that bad now, but I'm telling you, I get handfuls of hair, literally, and I'm 60 years old, so I'm not going through any hormonal changes. So, I know the symptoms because I've been through them, and it's so disheartening because it took me 5 years to detox and do what I needed to get over the mold the last time, and now here I am again. And our landlord doesn't take it seriously, and he's not willing to do anything about it, and I don't know what to do because I don't have the energy to move, and I finally got a Section 8 voucher because I can't work, and you have to be in your place for a year before they'll let you move. And so it's like, I don't know what to do because I'm getting sicker by the day. I feel like I have mono every day. My joint pain is worse. My hair is falling out. I've been getting really bad sinus infections and sinus problems. That's another symptom of mold. I've been getting bloody noses, bloody gums. Those are symptoms of mold. Extreme fatigue. Like, you feel so sick you can hardly hold yourself up. Like you just want to crash and lay down all day long. Like if I'm ever standing up, it's like I just want to lay down on the floor, or I have to sit back in this chair a lot because it's so hard to sit up. Um, so anyway, I spend a lot of time in bed. I've had Lyme for 35 years. I got it while I was living in Mississippi and Louisiana. I got it from chiggers. I was serving a mission for the LDS Church, and I got it from chiggers. Yes, chiggers can give you Lyme. It's not just ticks. Everybody thinks it's ticks, and a lot of people don't get the bullseye's rash. And it's like, well, if a tick bites you and gives it to you, then you're not going to get a bullseye's rash. I got a really weird rash all over my hands, and it looked horrible. Like I didn't dare shake anybody's hands. As a missionary, you're supposed to shake everybody's hands and be friendly, and I was so self-conscious, and it was, my hands were so gross. It looked like some type of fungal infection. It was so gross. But I'm wondering if that's when I contracted it, when I broke out with that. But my immune system was able to keep it under control until I got married and married a man who he exposed me to STDs without telling me that he did. And then when I was so naive growing up. I was so protected. I was called a Molly Mormon because I was so naive and gullible and had this bubble of protection around me because my parents were so strict. Um, I knew nothing about sex. I knew nothing about STDs. So in the LDS faith, we're taught that you can be married in the temple and that will seal you together as a family forever in the next life. And so you have to do certain things to be worthy to go to the temple, and one of them is to live a chaste life and not have sexual relations with other people. Well, he lied to me, only to find out after we were married that he had a whole bunch of STDs and he gave them to me. And when I started putting two and two together and asked him about it, he got so angry. He got so mad at me. And it's like, you're getting mad at me because you gave me STDs? The reason why he got mad is because I figured it out, because he didn't want to be caught. And so he was so angry and so defensive, and he changed his story several times, and that's another story. But my immune system couldn't handle all the infection, and so those STDs activated my Lyme symptoms, and all of a sudden I started getting horrible pain in all my muscles. Horrible migraines. I had never had a migraine before. I never knew what a migraine was. I never knew what chronic pain was. I knew people had pain, but I didn't understand chronic pain. I started getting chronic insomnia, which I had never in my life struggled with insomnia. And I was 27 years old at this point. I didn't get married till I was 26, almost 27. Extreme fatigue, so bad that I felt like I had mono every day and I couldn't hold myself up. I'd go to church and I'd have to lay down on the benches sometimes because I couldn't sit there long enough and hold myself up because I was so fatigued. Just bizarre symptoms. I started having thyroid issues. It was attacking my thyroid. It attacked my heart. Then I had the seizures on a daily basis, several times a week. They lasted about 3 years until I finally found out what was going on with my heart. And then I did some natural things to help get that under control. And thank goodness I haven't had a seizure for over 8 years. I'm so grateful. They're terrifying. They're horrid. They're painful because you tense all up, and so then your muscles, you're already in pain with your muscles, and then tensing up in the seizures makes it hurt even worse. You never know when they're going to come on, so it scared me to death. Like, will I be at church and have a seizure, or will I be at the grocery store, or, they're terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying. And, of course, nobody has control over whether or not they're going to have a seizure. Like, people can control that. But because the doctors told my husband and my husband told my family that I was psychosomatic, I went to a family wedding after I was divorced and I was with my daughter, and I could feel a seizure coming on. I got to learn. Sometimes I didn't have hardly any time. I was just out. But I got to learn the symptoms of oh my gosh, I can tell I'm going to have a seizure. So I said something to my daughter, and I said, I'm going to go, I've got to go in the other room. Because we were at a church at this reception. It was my niece and nephew's um, wedding, and we were in the church gymnasium. Everybody was, all my family was. So I said to my daughter, I've got to go find a classroom. And she followed me in there, and she was so freaked out, and she was so scared because the seizures freaked my kids out because they were so terrifying. They were so scary. And she went and got my dad and one of my brothers, and they sat and watched me have a seizure. And then I came out of it, and then my brother said to me, "You made that up." It's like, are you kidding me? First of all, how in the hell can I make up a seizure? Second of all, why in the hell would I want to? They're terrifying, they're painful, they're exhausting. They're completely, utterly, absolutely exhausting. And then you can't get out of bed for a few days after, and oh my God, to tell somebody they made it up. My own family still doesn't believe to this day that I have Lyme disease. My daughter does because now she has it, and now she's as sick as I was. And some of my other kids, my one daughter hasn't been able to use her hands and arms, and she has severe migraines, and it's like, yeah, they don't want to believe. So a mother can pass it to her children through the womb or through breast milk, which I didn't know at the time. But I wanted to breastfeed my kids. So I was feeding them, and they were so skinny, and they were starving, and they were crying all the time and constantly wanted to breastfeed. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm breastfeeding my kids every other half an hour, and they were all underweight. And finally, this foot zone therapist was able to tell me, Jeannie, you're not producing milk because your lymph system is so backed up because of the Lyme. And I felt horrible. I just wanted to cry because it's like I thought I was doing the best thing for my kids by breastfeeding them, and then they were being starved. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But now it all makes sense. And the last thing I wanted was for my kids to go through and experience everything I did. And it breaks my heart to watch my daughter be so sick now. But she's getting help because now she has a husband that can afford the help. And I'm grateful for that. That's just, I mean, it's hard enough for me to go through it, but to watch your children, because I know exactly what they're going through. I know the pain they're in. I know Lyme is much more accepted today than it was when I had it, and so they don't have to deal with that as much as I did. But people don't understand because they'll look at me and my daughter and they'll be like, well, you look fine, you know? Well, we aren't fine, okay? We smile behind our pain and we act like we're fine, and then we go home and crash because it affects your adrenals. So you run on adrenaline and then you crash. So then I developed rheumatoid arthritis, but it's from the Lyme. And so I'm allergic to all of the normal rheumatoid arthritis medications they give you. And I've had severe reactions to them. I've gone into anaphylactic shock before. I used to get IVs and I would go into anaphylactic shock. And one time my neighbor was giving me an IV and she turned it up really fast because she was in a hurry and she didn't want to be bothered with me, even though she said she'd do it. She turned it up really fast, even though the doctor said you gotta do these slow or you can have a reaction. Well, I passed out, so she called the ambulance. They told me that my blood sugar went to 500, and they said they couldn't believe it, so they tested it a couple times, and each time it was 500. By the time I got to the hospital, it dropped to 15. And they told me those numbers aren't accurate. They says we have to throw those numbers out because that you'd be dead. And it's like, so you're telling me that you're using machines in your emergency rooms that aren't accurate? Wow. And I talked to my foot zoner after, and she tested my body, and she's like, yeah, that really did happen. And again, she said, the Lord just wants you here on this earth. So yeah, my blood sugar went from 500 down to 15, and I should be dead. But of course, the doctors didn't believe me, so they threw all the numbers out. And I should have said, well, then throw your dang equipment out too, if it doesn't work and is not accurate. So it affects your organs. So my kidneys, I was in acute kidney failure at one time. I started going to, I had gone to doctor after doctor who told me I was depressed, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure depression does not cause migraines or horrific pain or insomnia or seizures. Yes, I'm very depressed because I'm in a lot of pain. It's the pain that's causing the depression, not the depression that's causing the pain. Anyway, so many stupid doctors that I would like to slug in the gut. Sorry, that's not very nice, but that's how I feel now because they were so rude and they were such idiots. I had doctors literally yell at me angrily when I tried to tell them, I have Lyme disease. You got to be careful with me because I went into anaphylactic shock once because this lady that I met said she needed to help me because she had been through Lyme disease and she'd been through mold exposure. So she had me come. She was a friend of a friend. She had me come live in her home. She was giving me hydrochloric acid. She was giving me 15 to 18 tablets a day, trying to force me to take them, saying, this is going to help you. This is going to help you. I knew something was wrong and that I was having a reaction to them. I threw up 12 times that day. By the end of the day, I passed out on their floor because I was so sick. These pills were poisoning me, and she was trying to force them down me, and I started leaving them on the nightstand because I knew that's what I was reacting to. Well, she told her husband that I had overdosed, and so they took me to the emergency room and told the doctors I had overdosed on sleep medication. And her husband said, yeah, she's got these pills all over the nightstand. It's like, yeah, those are the pills your wife gave me that I refused to take. Well, okay, so I was taking sleep medication. They said, oh, you have this sleep medication in your system, so that means you overdosed on it. And it's like, that's because it's freaking being prescribed to me, so of course I have it in my system because I don't sleep, because I have chronic insomnia, so of course I'm taking it every day. It's diagnosed, or it's prescribed for me, so of course it's in my system. They brought a social worker in, they brought my kids in and told me that I overdosed and I needed help and that I must be suicidal or something. And it's like, I have that in my blood because it's prescribed to me, you idiots. And so I tried to tell the doctors because they were yelling at me. They were being so rude to me. I have never in my life seen a doctor treat somebody so hideously. Like I was scum. I was baffled. I was shocked. I was appalled the treatment they were giving me because they thought I had overdosed, which I didn't. I was having an anaphylactic shock reaction, which they didn't understand because they're medical doctors and they don't get Lyme, that you can go into anaphylactic shock when you take 15 hydrochloric acid pills a day. And then my practitioner, my holistic practitioner, I told her the story and she tested my body and said, Jeannie, your body can only handle one of those a day. And I was taking 15 to 18. Yeah, people with Lyme are very sensitive. They're very sensitive to food, to perfumes, to chemicals, to smoke, to mold. And so we have to be so careful, but most people aren't, so they don't get it. So I have to be so careful, but when I tell doctors that I'm sensitive to all these things, they just look at me like I'm crazy. Now more and more are understanding, because more information's coming out and more doctors are willing to look at it. But my family still thinks I'm psychosomatic. So when this woman told my family that I had overdosed, they wanted to put me in a home for addicts, or it's like, are you kidding me? I freaking had a anaphylactic shock reaction, and you guys are treating me like I'm scum. But these doctors, these emergency room doctors, when I came out of it, they were so rude. They were mean. They called me scum. They pointed their fingers at me and said, "Oh, this person in this room has this problem. Unlike this lady over here, this scumbag who overdosed." First of all, if somebody is suicidal, that's not how you treat them. They need love and kindness. Second of all, I wasn't suicidal. I didn't overdose. It was horrific. I wanted to write a report on them so bad. In fact, I reached out to the victim advocate and I told him everything. And I said, I need an apology or something. I got no response. And that was a hospital right here in Utah County. And I'm not going to say what one, but it was horrid the way I was treated. It was so uncalled for. And all of those doctors should be fired for treating me the way that they did. But when I started coming to and coming out of it, I tried to explain to him, I have Lyme disease. I have these reactions. And I told him I'd been going to Mexico to get stem cell treatments because that's the only thing that was helping me. That made him even madder. He was so angry. He was angrily yelling at me because I told him I went to Mexico to get treatments because nobody here could help me. I've had so many awful things happen to me. But I will say, one of the best things that has helped me was going to Mexico because that doctor understood Lyme disease. The majority of his patients were 99% people with Lyme disease, and people from all over the world went to him because he was one of the few doctors who understood it and believed us, and he would look at our blood under a microscope and he could show us where the Lyme spirochetes, like they shed their shells, and they're in your blood, and he could show them to us, which was very validating. But so most of his patients were Lyme disease and cancer. He treats anything, but it was just so validating to go there, and everybody else in the room had Lyme disease and we could all relate to each other and validate each other, and it was just so comforting because it's like we all believe each other because we've been through the same thing and we all have the same stories. And it was there that I learned. Somebody told me, well, have you read about Plum Island? And I'm like, because I'd never heard of this before. So he was like, you need to read this book about Plum Island. So a lot of people with Lyme disease and a lot of other people are starting to wise up a little bit and believe that it was formed as a bioweapon. Well, they don't believe, we know. Lyme disease was formed as a bioweapon in World War II by the German scientists so that they could kill the Russian cattle. And they started experimenting on like concentration camp prisoners to see what it would do to them. Lyme kills you. I'm here to tell you because it killed me, and I will get to that. But it wreaks havoc in your body. It causes so much. All the Lyme literate doctors, if you read their reports, they will say that Lyme disease is the most debilitating disease they've ever dealt with, even more so than cancer. I believe it's the chemo that kills people, not the actual cancer, a lot of times. But it's just so debilitating and so painful, and it's so frustrating when you're not validated. My own family to this day won't support me. I have no income because I can't work because I can hardly get out of bed, and if I do go anywhere, I'm in so much pain and I come home and exhausted and I crash for several days. They won't help me. And so this gentleman, the first time I went, well, it wasn't the first time I went. The first time I went, I was on my deathbed. I weighed 83 pounds, not because I wanted to. It was because Lyme affects your digestive tract, and a lot of people can't utilize nutrients because of the Lyme. Plus, it was because of the trauma from going through my divorce, and my husband was harassing me and stalking me and badgering me. So that combined with the Lyme, my body went into shutdown mode, and I lost so much weight. I weighed 83 pounds. And my brother accused me of being anorexic. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? And he said to me, if you just started eating, you would feel better. And it's like, I eat all day long because I'm scared to death that I'm losing so much weight. And my doctors keep telling me I'm going to die if I lose any more weight. I didn't want to die. I wasn't trying to lose weight. It was scaring me to death. And it literally, it did. Um, I couldn't control it. But one of my practitioners explained to me that trauma will throw your metabolism into overdrive. And so you burn more calories anyway. So that combined with the Lyme wreaked havoc on my body, and it just desecrated me. And I looked like I had just come out of a concentration camp, literally. And it was humiliating and embarrassing. And if I went anywhere, people would always point at me, oh my gosh, look at her. Do you think I enjoyed that? People who are anorexic think they're fat. I did not think I was fat. I knew I looked like a skeleton, and I was mortified. And I was mortified when I got reactions from people. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So, first of all, you can't make up Caesars. Second of all, if you got Lyme disease and you're losing weight and you've been traumatized by a human, and it sends your body into overdrive and then shut down, we're not trying to lose weight, okay? I was sick. I was deathly ill. And I'm just going to be honest and tell you everything. So I'm at 31 minutes. Ah, dang, I'm sorry. I don't even know if this is going to upload. Um, I might have to do a part 1 and part 2 because I don't think this will upload. So this is part 1. I'll be back.